All right, today we're going to break down this really short but wow, powerful commentary on modern consumer culture. It's just a few sentences, really, but it raises some huge questions about our priorities, about what we value.
So let's just dive right in. I mean, the speaker really doesn't waste any time. They just jump straight in with this really bold claim that basically sets the stage for their entire argument.
And boom, there it is. The whole thing kicks off with this really direct question, right? It's designed to grab your attention because it targets something almost all of us do using our phones and frames it as, well, a total waste of time for a huge majority of people.
Yeah, and that number is so key. The speaker specifically chooses 90%. Think about that. It's not some vague thing like, oh, most people. No, it's a very specific kind of overwhelming figure. And it's meant to make the whole statement feel less like an opinion and more like, a cold, hard fact.
And they don't just leave that question hanging out there either. Nope, the speaker has a very, very specific answer in mind. And this is where it pivots right into the main subject of their whole critique. Okay, so who exactly is this group we're talking about? What's interesting is they aren't defined by how much money they make or what they do for a living. Instead, it's all about a set of behaviors the speaker has observed. And there's the answer, the middle class. This is the group that's explicitly named as that 90%. They become the absolute center of this commentary, which, really sets the stage for a much broader point about the choices they make.
But wait, the description doesn't stop there with just how this group spends their time. The speaker adds another whole layer. They shift from talking about time to talking about money, and they point out a very, very particular spending habit.
See the pattern here? It's another question. And, you guessed it, the exact same answer. But this time, the behavior they're pointing to is super specific. Buying a premium product, an Apple phone, and, this is crucial, using a credit system, paying it off in monthly installments. It perfectly connects that desire for luxury with the financial reality of it.
So what we have now is the speaker building this profile of the middle class based on two really clear actions. One, wasting time on their phones, and two, stretching their finances to buy a status symbol. And it's this combination that perfectly sets up the main point, the big contradiction.
And this is it. This brings us right to the absolute core of the argument. It's this really clever moment of wordplay where the speaker presents the sharp, almost ironic contrast between two very different kinds of apples.
This right here, this is the punchline. The speaker uses the double meaning of the word apple to paint this incredibly powerful picture. A home that has the fancy, luxury tech brand, but maybe doesn't have the simple basic necessity of the actual fruit. Wow. I mean, that is a direct shot at our priorities.
And just so we're all on the same page, when they say EMI, that's just a system for paying for something in installments over time. The whole point is that it lets people buy things they probably couldn't afford to pay for all at once.
And this really illustrates that central conflict perfectly, right? On one side, you've got the high-status gadget, a want, something often bought on credit. And on the other side, a basic food item, a need. The speaker is putting these two things in a head-to-head battle.
So, what's the big takeaway here? What's the deeper message the speaker is really trying to get across with this super sharp comparison? Let's unpack this critique.
When you put all these little pieces together, it stops being just an observation, doesn't it? It becomes a full-blown critique. A critique of choosing the appearance of success, the phone, over actual foundational well-being, symbolized by the fruit.
You can literally map out the speaker's logic here. It's a super efficient argument if you think about it. First, they observe something. Then, they identify the group doing it. Then, they hit you with that powerful contradiction. And through all that, bam, they deliver a really clear message about modern values.
And really, this is the core takeaway. At the end of the day, the speaker is pointing out what they see as a huge disconnect. They're talking about a culture where the need to project a certain lifestyle, through status symbols, might actually be more important to people than their own practical, essential needs. So you see, this short little commentary doesn't just make a statement. It actually leaves us with a question to think about. Beyond the cash, beyond the monthly payments, what is the true cost when we choose to prioritize status over substance? That's a pretty powerful thought to end on, isn't it?